welcome back once again, David. We're most delighted to have you back and very curious as to how we will continue today.
Okay, we'll start with all these so-called megaliths and everything. Like big stones, huge stones everywhere. People talk about them and say, what the hell is going on? Yes, what do you call it? The invasion of Europe from Egypt or something to do with Egypt and the Middle East. Yes, let's start by looking at the pyramids. When we look at the pyramids from the air, yes, you'll notice it's got 8 sides and it doesn't have 4 sides like many people think. Yes, so it's not actually perfect triangles. So now that's the symbol of ancient Egypt. Now another thing is what many people don't know is let's have a look at the Vatican. Yeah, they've got different designs and things. But the thing is, everyone knows, the Maltese cross and the Knights of St. John. Malta is like, you
Right?
could say, halfway coming from Egypt and then going on to Italy. It's like the stopover, it's the island, yes? And then when you see the cross, the Knights of St. John, what do you see?
Well, I would
The
also
eight.
say, yes, it's also 8 sides in the Maltese cross. Yeah, this one I'm familiar with.
Yes. So that's the first thing. The Maltese cross and the pyramids, they're linked together. So it's like they've put this symbol there. It's because they know what it is. It's important for them. It's their symbolism. And the thing is, they are the same people who built these buildings. So now the next thing, let's go to ancient Egypt. Yes, there's a place called Abydos in Egypt, and they say in Abydos they can't make their minds up. They say Osiris, one of the king of the gods, was born there. And then if anybody goes there, what you will see is these great temples, great architecture. Now, this is very, very, very important. Yes, I've not mentioned this before. There are reasons why I've not mentioned it, and I decided to wait now. So now this is from the Temple of Abydos. The several buildings there and everything. And what you will notice is in that picture and this one here, have a look. This is what it's like inside the temple. Now, if we look at this place, an aerial view, yes, what I'll show you, the area they say they excavated it 100 years ago, 150 years ago. So this is what it's like. It's like a complex, several buildings, inside out, and everything. Yes, but you will notice that the thing is, whoever built this place mysteriously built it like underground. So some of the facilities, like the Temple of Satan or Seti the First, how they will pronounce it, or Seth. Notice the name, Seth, short for Satan. Yes. Well,
Oh,
anyway, have a look at this. This is supposed to be a temple. Is this actually? Who in the hell is going to build something underground like that, below the ground level? And then many people who've not been to Egypt don't know the terrain properly. This temple is basically in the middle of nowhere. And what we will notice in Abydos, it's part of the temple, and they'll say, look, we can actually see maybe a helicopter here, maybe a plane here, maybe a tank here. Can you see it? But now let's go to the same place over 100 years ago. So here is the same place over 100 years ago. And what do you see? What are they doing?
well, there's a gathering. On the one hand, it seems like they're inspecting the place, but it also looks like they're working with some of those, I don't know, wire-based
How many
things.
people are there? Just look in the background, because what you'll see. Did the stones look old?
No, not
Supposed to be thousands of
necessarily.
years.
No, doesn't really
They're
look old.
supposed to be thousands of years old. And the thing is, I just want you to think how many people are there. I will enlarge these pictures so that people can do it. All this information, people could have done the research themselves. But the reason they're coming to listen to me, yes, is because they know that I've noticed these things and they haven't. And now the thing is, what you will notice is I'm enlarging the picture. You'll actually see machinery with pulleys and everything actually putting the rocks in place. Yes, that what you call it, construction machinery from the late 19th century, early 20th century. Can you see the ropes around the building? Can you see it?
Yes.
I've just sent it to you. This is not a joke. What does it look like they're doing there?
Well, it could well be that with this they are like pulling up the stones or arranging them or something.
Yes. Do these stones look old to you?
As I said, no, they at least on this old photograph they look quite polished and fresh actually.
Yes, brand new. They look brand new. Yes, they're telling us it's a temple, thousands of years old, amazing hieroglyphics, so-called history ridden, thousands of years of history ridden there in hieroglyphics. Now, many of the blocks and everything were brought along to the site like this. And other materials. Yes, I've sent you a picture. What you will notice on the floor is a mini rail track, not a big railway, a mini rail track. You will see people carrying equipment, bars so that you can lift things and use them for pulleys and other things to actually lift blocks. Yes, many of the blocks you can actually cut them at the location. Other items you can bring from other places, and you can actually carve the blocks in that site. And what you will see is that they're actually building the full location. Yes, they're actually building the full location, and they're moving stones and blocks around. And the thing is, I've just sent you a picture, and the people in the pictures, they're actually slaves, people from England, France, Italy, America, Australia, from these European empires. They went there. At the same time, they were forcing children to go into mining in Europe. And what you could see, can you see? People are carrying things there to, maybe the soil or the earth. Can you see things there?
Yeah.
People are carrying it. Can you see it? Now, I will explain to you why a country like Egypt is poor compared to, let's say, Australia or the United States. Because in Australia and the United States, they spent a lot more time actually building the roads, building buildings, building houses. But over there in Egypt, it was such a big project. They built hundreds and hundreds of sites and everything, these mega
Oh
places
my God.
that
So you're
they,
saying the people there have to have poor living standards because all the money went into forging history with the
it wasn't
buildings,
just money, we're talking
construction
about the
projects.
labor.
Right,
The
right.
labor
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the amount of time that you're going to spend, let's say, building a building for a school or building a building for houses, homes. Yeah, the thing is, they've taken them to the middle of nowhere, like the Nevada desert or the deserts in Australia, in the middle of nowhere, and they're forcing them to come here, and they've just got them as slaves. Work, work, work. You understand? They did this for 50 years to 100 years, so it's not a joke. Many people have never studied colonialism. Yes, so half of these countries that we're looking around at, they were building useless things, and they used them to do mining for free and then bring the materials back to Europe and America. I've got many pictures to show. Have a look at this one. You can clearly see that they're actually working, and you'll see their European master and some man who's going to be the local translator. And in this picture, what you'll notice is that there's mega ropes, and they're actually moving a megalith. They're actually carrying and moving a megalith. I've enlarged it now so that you will see that, what do you call it, the logs are under the megalith. And can you see how many people are lifting it?
Mm-hmm.
Can
Mm-hmm.
you see it? So
Yeah.
they're putting this in position. Today, you'll see great temples there. There you go. Well, anyway, let's have a look at this Abydos. They call it Assyrian temple, sometimes Seti the First temples. It's a complex. Here you can see, you know, yes, there's blocks on top of some blocks, and these blocks, they're not there by accident. Yes, the thing is, some of the blocks, they're there, and then they have to move them around. So what do I mean by move them around? You'll see that there's ropes there, and the thing is, you'll see drill holes, and the other thing that you will see of how they link the stones together, and the other things like the picture I've sent you. Let me enlarge it, and then you can see it. Can you see the drill holes and everything else, and the cuttings?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the thing is, there's no evidence that these places were built by the ancient Egyptians. And then there was if some blocks were brought from outside, some blocks were, they used to put them on top of these trolleys. This is to bring some other things on the trolleys and equipment, and then they used to carry it. I call these mini rail tracks, and the thing is, so that's why they used machinery. And so what they're doing, and the children in the slave in the pictures, they're slaves, slaves. I'm being serious, Jude. In my books, it explains it. It shows photographs of the children being beaten, even women who were kidnapped and everything taken to the desert areas in the middle of nowhere in some deserts where there's no food or anything. So they just prepared these and they put them in locations that have geometrical matchings to do with the number 19 and with the number 33. You know, they measured these locations and everything. But the thing is, that's what they did. They destroyed entire nations. And the thing is, they used ropes and pulleys, like I showed you before. The equipment in this picture, you'll see the man there. And in the background, on the right-hand side, you'll see the pulleys and the levers that you can see. And the ropes are very big. And you can see a man who's actually pulling on a rope or some metal rod or something behind this man. What do you call it? This man, you can see his hand is actually broken and it's wrapped up and bandaged. It's sad what they did to these people. Yeah, so here is an example at this site. You'll see many of the slaves. Can you see them? Yeah, there's many of the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another thing that many people turn around and say, that the strange carvings and markings on the walls, because many of them were children, teenagers, so they drew pathetic, crazy things on the walls that just don't make sense. Yes, and they're drawn across there because these people came and they forced many people to become Christians. So let's have a look as the finished product is coming around. Yes. Oh, of course. Look at this carefully. It's brand new. This is not restoration or some crap that somebody's going to be saying. It's restoration. Oh, they were just repairing it. Rubbish. Yeah. The slaves are working and they're preparing to
Mm-hmm.
move that rock. Can you see it? Yes. And the thing is, he's just sitting there thinking, hurry up, guys. Many of them work for the East India Company. Ah, that's why it's many people don't know. East India Company, many people will think that it's white European masters and things like this. But if they don't read my books, they won't know. Some families from India, yes, who were involved in these projects. That's what, yes. And the thing is, so many of these Europeans are actually the workers. They made a lot of money, but as you can see that now, the picture I've sent you is it's not a finished product, and it looks like a mess because the thing is, these people did the construction and they're bringing in the rocks, and they're just the way they're bringing it in. Uneducated workforce, never been to school, they don't know anything. That they found poor people and they're just taking advantage of them, and they've kidnapped them as slaves. Here you'll see the workers taking along. Yes, you'll see the blocks piled up. They're taking it under through there into the site. Yes, and there's like some mini rail, whatever. And it's like the thing is, yeah, they're getting the job done. It looks like a mess, but it's not a mess. And there, I've enlarged it, and you'll see on the right-hand side, it's like it's a brand new block, and they're taking it inside, and it's left at the door. It's like unfinished work. You can see the big ropes there, everything. They're actually working. You see? Yes, they're actually
Mm-hmm.
building the site. It's clear they built this site. They're building it. Yes. So now, let me just show you what they will say. These historians in the same place. What are they going to say? Read this. Yeah, people believe it. This Osiren or whatever Abydos consists of large square rose granite pillars, most of which are completely void of any carvings or inscriptions. It's brand new, guys. That's why many of them don't have inscriptions. They were still building it in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s and 60s, and some of them are as heavy as 100 tons. Yes, and these are granite. They had to be brought from Aswan, so far away. Aswan's in the south, Aswan Dam. Many people don't know where it is. That's because they already had railway, but at that time in the 1920s and 30s, when they were still constructing the place. So now here is 1 ton. Yes, what do you call it? It's like 900 kilos. Now, what many people don't imagine, yes, is that let's go through granite. Yes. So the thing is, they tell you lies about granite. How big is 1 ton of granite? As a general rule, yes, what do you call it? Let's say Cloburn, from if you bought it from Cloburn, granite weighs 1.4 tons per cubic meter. If the average man, let's say, it weighs 60 kilos or something, or 40 kilos or something, you don't need many men to lift it. You see? So the story of the pyramids, and then you've got modern machinery, the modern rail, the modern pulleys, the modern chains, everything and other things. Yes? So it's not very difficult to build the pyramids. Well, here's a picture from England. And the thing is, while they were using people as slaves over there, yes, in England, they were actually using the people to build the country. Yes, and then they brought other materials, and here you can see that like many city walls that we're seeing, that we're seeing these castle walls. Some of them are fakes. They're not ancient. They've just built them out of nowhere. That what you can see, it's the same kind of construction thing. And what many people don't notice is, you'll say, how the hell did people do it in them days? In them days, yeah, people weren't so lazy. They were desperate, and they used slavery in England too. Well, anyway, let's have a look at the finished products again. So now what you can see is that you're told these temples are ancient. Then you are told, yes, these hieroglyphics are ancient. This is what they're telling you. Since when? Since when? Look at this man there. Yes, he was probably one of the workers doing the last finishing touches. Have a look at the carvings. They look brand new. Look at this ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic things.
Mm-hmm.
They look brand new. The historical evidence shows that they falsified a lot of the things in Egypt. Yes, some of the hieroglyphics are actually older, but they're not ancient. They're from the Middle Ages. Some of the things Professor Fomenko pointed out. And a lot of it is just like blatant forgery for money. So now the thing is, inside this Seti's temple, or Satan's temple, let's have a look at this Satan's temple. So I put this in my book and showed, but there's, of course, people are saying they're reconstructing. One, the temple isn't there in the first place. Two, they've just built it. Three, these people have got bowls and they're just decorating the place. So anyway, they're decorating the place, and then there's many other photos of in many of these hallways and rooms in these buildings, that all you can see that what do you call it? They've brought in the tables, they've brought in the paint and other things to do the carvings and decorate the walls. Can you see it? Now look at this place, the finished products. Can you see it? And as you will notice, if you look carefully, yes, many people think, oh, they're amazing hieroglyphics. But the moment you look more carefully, you can see the fraud, that because they had these Bedouins from the desert, slaves. Just look at the wall carefully. I've enlarged it. Can you see? Many of them are just repeats. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It's because they thought, we got to fill this space. Hurry up now. Look at the bottom. So at the bottom, you can see, hey, they've just repeated, copy, repeat, nothing. And for a bit in the middle, so that the tourists will come, they'll say, there's an ancient story here. This is the story of the gods. And the gods came
Yeah,
down
and
upon
especially
earth.
if
So now let me just show you. So here's the middle section. What they've done, somebody's going to say, oh my God, they must have had some ancient bug there. Look on the left-hand side. They'll say maybe that's like some robot like R2D2 from Star Wars. Oh, they had these kind of alien things. Oh, they had this, they had that. And they had this and that. Grow up. People should just grow up. They've invented half these things, and a lot of the symbols actually resemble Arabic. Yes, but of course it's in a land where where Arabic is the language and the alphabet. So what do you expect? So they've just put a few of these stories in. They'll say, this is to show that the people love the gods so much. The gods were traveling in the stars, blah blah blah, and he's coming back from the dead and all that. Ha! Come on, it's just fake. So now let me just show you. They had so many slaves, and many of them were children and everything. And as you can see, these people, yes, they didn't really have an education. I'm not going to lie. And what they did was they preserved the Quran in these prison camps, or whatever. Yeah, they're like concentration camps. In the same way that they created ancient Egypt, they invented, what do you call it, ancient Jerusalem. Yes, in the same way, and the politics and the plots. So the thing is, I've written the book Jerusalem is in Europe, to show that they invented the place and they invented the history. Yes, yes. So now there is a very big question. Many people insist that ancient Egypt is actually America. But what we have to actually think is the British, they're in Australia, the British were in China, the British were in India, the British were in Canada. Yes, but who were the British? Yes, when the British got invaded by William of Orange, another fake character, in 1688. At that time, mysteriously, the Turks and the Russians invaded Vienna. This story is in my book, The Last Crusade. Yes. The thing is, but at that time, the East India Company funded the invasion of Britain. Yes, Indian shareholders. Many people seem to think it's European, but that's another long story. But the thing is, if ancient Egypt, if part of it was America, or if it is America, now we have another problem. Let's have a look at Europe during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. There's crusades. They've given the dates, 13th century, happening in France. Yeah, the Vatican invades France. Wait a minute, aren't the Crusades supposed to be fighting these desert people and things like this? No, Pope Innocent, he wasn't innocent. He's just invaded France. Yes. Now, the thing is, the history of the popes are a lie. Now, the thing is, it's very important. People won't understand the Crusades unless if they really have a look at Professor Anatoly Fomenko's work. Now, I support Anatoly Fomenko's work in the fact that he's shown that the history is a lie. He's tried to do history reconstruction based on the documents that these fake historians have written, and he's wrote question marks. He's not fixed it. He's not said this is exactly what's happened. He said this is what they have written down. So now all over Europe, let's have a look at Bohemia. For no reason, the whole of Europe was invaded. We're talking about Bavaria, Czech Republic, the Hussites, Slovakia, Austria, Switzerland. There's crusades happening there. Yeah, it's because they weren't Christian. They were forced into it. Yes. So let's have a look. When people say Spanish Inquisition, they gave the name on purpose. They want you to think of Spain. No, it wasn't in Spain. It was in the United States. It was in Canada. It was in Mexico. Yes, it was in Peru. It was in Uruguay. It was in Paraguay. It was in Argentina. It was in Chile. So you have to look at this globally. So the Spanish Inquisition, yes, was in Holland in the 16th, 17th century. They're just chopping heads, burning people alive, killing people, saying, hey, you must obey the Son of God. Yes, or you must obey the God himself. And the Vatican declared, the Pope declared that he was God. So the thing is, there was inquisitions in Holland, inquisitions in England, inquisitions in Germany. There were invasions, regular crusades. Yes, many people are not aware of these things, but I've done these screenshots. They can check Wikipedia. Inquisitions in Germany, everyone knows this. West Germany, in Rhineland, 13th century. Yeah, they were still happening in the 16th, 18th century. This is official history. They can't hide it because there's too much history there. All these skulls and bones in churches. Yes, when the Vatican armies killed them, they just buried them in the churches. Yes, so it was normal practice to have crusades against the Holy Roman Empire every year. We're talking for 500 years, and so the thing is, let's go through more of this. And for example, so as they took over, I mentioned the Farhan family, the Farnese or the Firaun. So that's why in Germany, as they took over, they set up these barons or these rich people, or they're actually called Farhan. Yeah, Farhan. You can see in modern German, you will pronounce it Freiran, 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 or
What?
Farhan.
Are you serious? Freiherr. This comes from Ferran.
Yeah, the word Führer means pharaoh, but they became the German nobility, whoever joined the Vatican. Remember, the Vatican had to make contracts. This was in a previous video where we showed where Machiavelli condemned the Pope and said, "Look, you're weak. You need allies. You can't do this on your own. You've invaded Europe, so to take over Europe, we're going to need allies." So then the thing is, when you look at the thing is, there was Germany mysteriously became known as the land of Persia or Perussia. Persia, Farsa, yeah, Farsi. So then they're going to turn around and tell us that what you call it, Farsi, is an Indo-Aryan language or Iranian. Yes, but I'll go through it next time. The forgery of the Farsi language in Iran. Yeah, that 10% or 20% of the words even used today in Iran are actually French or Franco-German, West German, and eastern France. Yes, so the thing is, this Farsi is important because Fars comes from Farusha, Faran. Yes, Persia or Prussia or Persia. Yes, so now we've got this mysterious land in Germany. It mysteriously becomes called Prussia. So now what we have to know is this: Europe mysteriously had millions of Arabic books. Europe did. Now, this is in my books in more details. Yeah. So what they started doing is they went door to door, Holland, Inquisitions, Crusades in Switzerland, Austria, Spain, Portugal, Holland, England, Germany, you name it. Yes, Czech Republic, Slovakia. What they were doing is they were confiscating Arabic books, Arabic Qurans in Europe. In Europe. So that means this book must have been widespread, and all the original Arabic manuscripts were getting confiscated and burnt. And then as we get to, they're going to say it's the 15th century, 16th century, but it's more like the 18th to 19th century, because that's when we can see people crossing the border over from Spain to Morocco, European Spaniards. Yes, that at the fall of Spain, what do you call it? What do you call it? They burnt 1 million books just in the final city called Granada. Yes, this is in my books, and people will find it. Yes. So the thing is, now what's this got to do with America and ancient Egypt? So then there is more. So what they tell us is some other stupid story. There was an empire of the Mongols. Yes, and the Mongol Empire ruled half of Europe, or they were invading Germany, invading, go down to Italy, invading the Balkans, and they were everywhere. Their empires were temporarily here and there. That what do you call it? They ruled eventually. That map is from the 13th century. They eventually took over India. They took over Egypt. They took over many of the lands. But what we know is that Mongolia is a fake, that we can't even find it, that even in the early 20th century, Ulaanbaatar looks like the people have just arrived, wooden huts as the Russians, yes, turn it into a settlement. And there's not, even today, there's not enough population. So what they tell us is that in Europe, they had millions of Arabic manuscripts, but they say they're not European, or they came from Baghdad or somewhere pathetic like this. They say more than half were from Europe. Yes, they say sometimes, but other historians, they try to say it came from Baghdad mixed with Farsi or Persian or Persian or Prussian. So they're claiming that this old Farsi documents, when you have a look at it, it's like 80% Arabic. Yeah, so it's not even Persian. So they're telling us some garbage story. Yes, 1 million Mongols, 1 million. They seem to have marched or walked from Mongolia. Do you know how far that is, guys? It's not even the distance Napoleon marched to Moscow, the fake history that they've said, but start coming and walking from these, from these deserts of Mongolia. We're talking deserts here, yes, and you're coming from the cold, cold deserts, minus 50 degrees on all this for several months of the year, and they're just coming, and they're going to say 13th century, they sacked Baghdad, they burnt it. That's why we can't find any evidence of this Arabic civilization over there, apart from a few fake things that they've got there. So they're going to say these Mongols came, they sacked it, they burnt all the libraries, thousands or millions of books and everything. But anyway, so now let's come back to Europe. So now on the other side of the world, there's no Mongols, but the Vatican's walked in. Same thing, skulls and bones, they buried people arrived. Here, just in the last city in Europe where they were still using Arabic, they claim it's the 15th century, but it's more like 18th century. Yes, when we see that people are saying we can't understand what happened, there's mud floods and something is wrong. Yes, people won't understand this if they don't read my book Mud Flood, that there is something wrong with the 18th or 19th century. Yes, and the thing is, there's something wrong that they can find it in the Mudflood book, and there is something wrong. I go through the entire century in the book. Napoleon did not exist. Yes, that they say there was a Napoleon in the 1870s, and there was another one 80 years before him. It's like there's something wrong with the full century that they've added on 50, 60, or 70 years, or something. There's something wrong, that they're hiding something happened in the 18th to 19th century. Yes. So the thing is, and we see all these cities burnt out and everything. But anyway, so the thing is, what the hell are they doing that they're burning 1 million Arabic books? Then they're going around door to door, and they're doing this throughout America. Yes, Arabic books were getting banned in America. America? Why would the Arabic books be already there if Columbus didn't discover it around the same time, 1492? Yeah, similar dates. Yes. So the thing is, they're looking for Arabic books and they're burning Arabic books in America at the same time, which doesn't make sense. So now the thing is, what we will find is that there's something strange. Let's go through this because there's many printed books after they burnt the originals. Yeah, they mysteriously say the printing press turned up in the 16th century. Yes, wide scale, 15th, 16th, 17th century. And then the thing is, this is what the official history they're going to tell us. Yes, the first books printed in the Persian language using Arabic, yeah, were published in Europe. Excuse me? Huh?
Oh, hmm.
Yeah, but they're actually, it's not actually Persian. It's like you can turn around and say there's American books and there's Australian books. So this is actually Arabic, but just a different dialect. Same like the Old Testament. I've explained this in my books. I mean, Jerusalem is in Europe. I've explained it there very clearly to show that what do you call it? Yes, that Hebrew is just a different font handwriting of just an Arabic dialect. Same like there's English and there's American and things like this. Yes. So if you haven't read it, I can't do anything. So now they're printing Persian books in Europe. Yes. Why the hell are you going to print Persian books 500 years ago? And let's see what Europe looked like 500 years ago. Yeah, and then you'll turn around and think, hey, it just doesn't make sense that they're printing Persian books, yes, for what do you call it, yes, and they're trying to tell us what do you call it, they're probably going to export them when there's no roads, no nothing, and they're having serious crusades, you know, fighting against the Holy Roman Empire and things like this. And what we're told is that in Europe, yes, people lived in pathetic conditions, like peasants. Let me just see that there's peasant revolts and everything. Europe's just. You know, the history that they tell us that it's like poor, it's a joke, like the pictures that we're seeing in Egypt and things like this. What do you call it? Let me just find it, and then 15th century, because people have to actually think of this, or otherwise they're not going to be able to imagine it. Why the hell are you going to be printing Persian books in Europe? Yes, when people in Europe are living in huts and all this thing made of straw and everything. These things are actually in my books, but let me see to describe it. So the people in Europe are actually living like this, and they're trying to tell us, what do you call it, that in the 15th century, they're printing Persian books in Arabic books, you could say, but they're burnt the originals. What's going on here? More like they're printing forgeries. Yes. So now there is another thing. So when you turn around and say, what are these millions of pages of Persian books doing in Europe? Millions of pages, and in America, by the way, I will go through this in a minute. There's millions of pages of Persian and Arabic books, Arabic basically, in Europe and America, and not in the Middle East. People don't know this. Forget the coins. So now they say some of these manuscripts may have been purchased in Iran, but in Europe they were printed. So they claim that they came from the originals. Why will you go in the 15th century and go and buy these Arabic manuscripts to Iran and Saudi Arabia and Egypt when you're burning them in Europe? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense. So now the thing is, Persia was Prussia. Persia. They've just changed the spelling, and they're telling us, oh, no, 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 these manuscripts came from the Middle East. They actually came from Germany.
Hmm.
Germany and Europa was Arabia Europa, like I explained this in previous videos. Yes, so now let's go through this a bit more. And then do you know what they're exactly going to tell us in official history? So let's see, what do they exactly say? So in Europe, when the printing press came, at that time, printing presses were producing millions of pages of books in Latin, and they were translated from Greek, yes, Hebrew, Arabic, and other classical languages like Hebrew, Arabic, Persian, Farsi, and all this. Now, Hebrew, my books explains it. It's just Arabic, different fonts, handwriting, and many of them are actually not even a different font. It's exactly the same. The majority are actually in the Arabic fonts. Yes, and the Greek manuscripts, we can't find the originals. They say that these documents that were allegedly in Greek were actually in Arabic, because they turn around and say that, they claim it was originally, what do you call it? Yes, Greek. Yeah, because they will say it's in Arabic. Yes, but they will say it's Greek. What they will turn around and say, what do you call it? The Arabs translated Greek manuscripts from thousands of years ago. That's what they will say. And then they will say these same Arabic manuscripts from Arabic were then translated into Latin. Yes, but they printed these Latin Arabic ones too. But no, 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 no. They brought these Arabic manuscripts from the Middle East, but the European Arabic manuscripts, they're burning millions of them in the same century. Does that make sense to
Hmm.
you? And then they'll say, oh, they're Greek manuscripts, but wait a minute. They're not Greek. They're actually in Arabic writing, which they claim came from ancient Greece thousands of years ago. You see? And then when we go through it, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yes, the actual history. Yes, let's see what they will say. The first book in Arabic was published in Italian town, the Farnese. And during those times, Arabic and Farsi were published in Venice, Rome, Vienna. What the hell's going on? Usually books that merchants and missionaries could make use of. Oh, yeah, they're invading Germany at the time. There's crusades all over Europe. And then do you know what they were saying? They're saying, yeah, they had printing machines in the Muslim world, yes, in the 15th century, but those books were managed by Greeks, Armenians, and Jewish community, and they printed books in their own language, but with the Arabic alphabet, which doesn't make sense. The entire history is just a fraud and a lie. Yes, and then they're saying, what do you call it? At the bottom, two lines, they're saying, what do you call it? European books, you can't exactly sell them. They only allowed you to sell a few books in Arabic, Farsi, and Turkish. Well, Turkish was 80% Arabic at that time anyway. So it wasn't Turkish. It's same like saying American is 80% English. Yeah, Australian is 80% English. So it's actually Arabic with the Arabic handwriting and everything. They were published in Europe. Oh, they were published in Europe, but hey, the Muslims have got their own printing machines. But then the Europeans are burning the Arabic manuscripts. But then they go back to the Muslims and say, hey, can you give us a manuscript? We're going to print this. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
No,
totally
it
looks
means
like
that,
a reset. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a total lie. And then the dates are not 15th or 16th century, because do you know what we find? That even until the 17th century, 17th, 18th century, Arabic was still the global international language, and it was particularly popular in Europe. Yes, that they were printing millions of pages in Europe in Arabic, and people could read and write in Arabic. We're talking the middle and the upper class. That what you call it, Latin had not taken over, and they're translating these Arabic manuscripts into Latin. They call it Farsi or Turkish or whatever. Yes, yeah, and everybody knows this. It's common knowledge. Let me just show you that up until the 17th, 18th century, yes, European interest in the pursuit of the Arabic language, where it was like a major thing. Yes, Arabic was a major thing. So we're going through it, and then what they turn around and say, what do you call it? So the European languages only took over. We can't find people speaking English before the 18th, 19th century, or French or Italian or anything. That all these manuscripts in Italian and things, they're forgeries, and they're printed after the 18th century. So the thing is, then they say the evolution of Arabic writing during European influence. It's like Arabic was already in Europe. And in previous videos, we showed that nobody speaks this classical Arabic in the Middle East at all. Even today, they learn it in school. It's a second language, like we learn French in England, and German and Spanish as a second and third language. Arabic is not their language. Arabic came from Europe, the evidence shows. That we've got millions of pages of manuscripts in Europe and America, and they don't seem to have them in the Middle East. Yes, and then the thing is, then there is the other strange thing. Yeah, they did have some printing, but only a few printing things in the Middle East. And then people are asking, Why were there no printing presses in the Middle East until 4 centuries after Europe? We're talking no proper ones until the 19th century. Yes, printing of Arabic and all these things. Yes. So the thing is, why did Europe have these millions of European Arabic books? It just doesn't make sense. That the thing is, they say that the Muslims had them, but it's a lie, because the thing is, when we go, that even the local people, they're asking questions. Yes, Arabic printing started only 200 years ago in Syria. Yes, Arabic language, and the people couldn't speak it. Yes, and the basic printing we're talking, it's like same like you're going to open your own mobile phone, factory in your city. It's like it just doesn't make sense. And then another thing is, where you can't find it in the Middle East. You will find throughout Europe and America, people have got millions of pages of Arabic manuscripts in museums and collections in Europe and America. It just doesn't make sense that you can go to Morocco and say, how many of these ancient manuscripts do you have? You don't have them. Or Sudan, and we did this in the previous 2 videos, the fake history of Africa. They put these manuscripts there because they didn't have them in these African countries, Morocco, Mali, Mauritania, yes, and all these other places. They don't have them. So now let's go to the United States. This is going to be very shocking, because people are asking, what is the history of the United States? Yes, people have asked, and they said, David, you haven't gone through it. It's not just coins. We're talking millions of pages of books. People are studying this language like we study English in school because we speak English here. They studied Arabic in Europe because they spoke the classical Arabic, the language of the Quran. It was not just normal Arabic. So now what I'm going to go through this now, it just doesn't make sense. Here, the University of Victoria, Macpherson Library in America, it doesn't make sense that they've got these Arabic manuscripts, Quran manuscripts and other things, and all these other things, that are supposed to be, 1,000 years old or many centuries old in America, in the University of Victoria, Macpherson Library. I've mentioned 6 here. Now, Indiana University, 53 manuscripts. Yes, and it just doesn't make sense in Arabic. Yes, we're not going to find so many when we go through all these hundreds of cities throughout the Middle East. I'm not just talking about the big places like Fez or Casablanca or Algiers or Oran or Tunis, or like the 10, 20 big cities in the Middle East. Let's go through the United States. This is so shocking. Cleveland Museum. Yeah, 86 manuscripts, Islamic Arabic manuscripts. What the hell are they doing there? Yes, yeah, can you see it? Many of these manuscripts, they call them leaves because they're leaf books made of leaves and codexes. Los Angeles County Museum of Art, yes, has got 250 codexes of manuscripts in Arabic. What the hell is going on here? And what we know is, if anybody reads my book, The Mud Flood, is Los Angeles earthquake. The city was wiped out, apart from a few buildings. Yes, yeah, 1905. Yes, so it just doesn't make sense. When did they get these manuscripts, hundreds of them, and everything? It just doesn't make sense. You know about the Los Angeles earthquake? Yes or no? Yes?
I know that
Yes?
there have been many. About this particular one, I only know that the location and so on, and the soil there is very strange by itself, or very
Yeah.
unstable, supposedly.
Yeah, well, here we'll show you a bit of an aerial view. It's in my book, Mudflood. If you haven't read it, you're not going to understand that half these cities that I'm talking about were destroyed. If you don't read that book, you won't know. I can't do anything, and don't try and figure things out, calculating it in your head. Yes, or read Flamenco's books, or do extra research, many hours. I've made it short and easy. It's in the book, The Mudflood. So what the hell is 250 codices of Arabic things doing in this Los Angeles County Museum? What is it doing there? Yes, and they're going to say they found it in the Middle East. Yeah, in the Middle East, we can't find it ourselves. Walter's Museum, I forgot where Walter's Museum is. I've just sent it to you now. Walter's Museum has 168 manuscripts. Yes, the thing is, what are these Arabic manuscripts doing there? Are they actually from the Middle East, or are they actually American manuscripts? Walter's Museum is in Maryland, Baltimore. What is it doing there in the middle of nowhere? You see, it just doesn't make sense. They're from the 9th century through to the 19th century. Yeah, what are they doing here? Yes, Yeah. So now let's go through more. Yes, I'm starting from the small museums. I'm going to get to the big ones. It's shocking. University of Pennsylvania. Yes, what do you call it? 70 codices and 54 volumes. Do you know how big a volume it's yes, 54 volumes of Arabic texts and 15 volumes of Persian text, which is Arabic anyway. What the hell are these volumes of doing there of Arabic manuscripts in the University of Pennsylvania in their museum or their library? What the hell is it doing there? How did it get there? Why are there? Or somebody's going to say he's talking about Arabic. Yes, the thing is, the thing is, they're not Vietnamese manuscripts. Why are they not, what do you call it, Italian manuscripts? Why are they not Slavic manuscripts? Why are they not Uzbek manuscripts? Why are they not ancient Swedish manuscripts? Why are they not Germanic manuscripts? Why are they not, what do you call it, ancient Spanish manuscripts? Why are they not ancient Angolan manuscripts, ancient manuscripts from Nigeria? I'm not trying to push an Arabic or Islamic agenda here. We're finding these millions of pages of Arabic manuscripts in Europe and America, which does not make sense. Yes, they're just going to say we picked it up from the Middle East. Same like they're saying, oh, these pyramids and all these other buildings, all these hundreds and hundreds of ancient temples and everything. They're ancient. Oh yeah. So now Brown University, yes, has got what do you call it, 40 Quran manuscripts and 168 other manuscripts, over 200 Quran manuscripts. Oh, the database has got 200 Quran manuscripts and what do you call it, from the 9th to the 16th century, all Middle Ages. Does this make sense? 200 Quran manuscripts. I won't find 200 Quran manuscripts from the 9th century in Casablanca. Casablanca is a big Islamic city in the Middle East. What the hell? And if we go to Baghdad, they're going to say there isn't anything here. The Mongols burnt it. Huh? Wait a minute. Can you explain this, Raphael?
No.
It means that they're American manuscripts. By the way, Brown University is in Rhode Island. Yes, in the United States. Yes, and do you know what is Rhode Island?
Well, all I can say is there was one very good comment in one of your earlier videos by someone who said he asked a local who seemed to know everything as to what had happened with some kind of a, I guess, star fort or castle, which was
Yeah.
officially consecrated by the Knights Templar or something in the early 20th century. And then this guy told him, well, actually, before, quote unquote, the Muslims were here. So, yeah, also
Yes.
pointing
And
towards
who
this
were the
idea.
Muslims? Yes, that's wait, I'll go through this and explain because many people think it's from the Middle East. I'm not pushing the Middle East. Rhode Island is actually New England. Yes, it's one of the first colonies or something. And then they tell you these people were like they were brought on ships and the Puritans and then other things and I'll have to go through that next time and show that even on his sword was Arabic. There were actually people from England, Northern Europe, and many people who were already there. People won't understand this unless if they read my book. If you don't read it, you're not going to understand it. Don't try to guess it unless if you're going to study the actual history of the demographic changes in Europe, separating people into orphans in Europe, not the orphan trains in America. This is written in my book, Orphan Trains, but it goes through the separation of children and parents in the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th centuries in Europe. Yes, and in America, how they separated children. So when they turn around and say it was an Islamic civilization, it was white European, white American, and their civilization, not from the Middle East. So these manuscripts are there. We're talking in Rhode Island, in Brown University. Let's go through it again. In many of these Middle Eastern places, in the majority, we're not going to find 200 manuscripts from the 9th to the 16th century. Well, what are they going to say? All these people, they had so much money that they managed to buy all these manuscripts. The Muslims were handing over. They were just handing over, saying, "Hey, take it. Don't worry. Yeah, pay cash." So now I'm going to go and go to the next point, and you'll see the number of manuscripts increases as we check in many other places. Now, what is this? The American National Library of Medicine. Yeah, they've got 300 Persian Arabic manuscripts. Oh, by the way, of course, they've got more. The amount of manuscripts that they're going to declare, they've got more hidden because they don't want you to know. And of course, they're going to show the worst ones to show that the world was backwards in them days. And they'll say, look at this. And what do you call it? Yes, it was backward and we improved it. No, it wasn't. They've hidden the old ones. And uh, uh, the National Library of Medicine for the United States. It's a very important library. Yes, it just doesn't make sense. We've got 300. Their oldest manuscripts are all Arabic. Yes. The thing is, and they'll say we got the knowledge from this Arabic civilization. And the thing is, they're going to say, oh yeah, we found it in the deserts. These people running around in the deserts, they had nothing to do, and we took it from them in the colonial times. Let me just show you. Yes, and they're just going to sell you some strange story, desert nomad Arabs, and they're going to say these people, they that even today that we can see that there's nothing there in these deserts, but they'll say, oh no, William whatever or Sir whoever or this and that people, yes, they went to the deserts, yes, and then they just took it back from these people, but stole it from these people. But and then when we look at these people, we can see that no way could these people have written these manuscripts. There were European manuscripts. The United States already had these amazing buildings. Many people have checked through this in Tartaria and everything. They're telling us it came from these people, yeah, who were easily enslaved. Yes, they didn't have the technology to even protect themselves from these empires or anything, that the history just doesn't make sense. So why is the National Library of Medicine, what's it doing with that? Let's keep going. Now, McGill University in the university in America, yes? How many Arabic manuscripts do they have? And they're mostly the Quran, the Quran, the Quran. How many Arabic manuscripts?
Well, only they say 380 codices.
And then the thing is, it's in Canada. So what are these Arabic manuscripts doing there? We can't even find so many Quran manuscripts in the Middle East. We can't find them. If we can, prove it. Yes, apart from, and then if you're going to say, hey, there's a few of these libraries. Oh yeah, the British and the French opened them in the colonial days. Yes. Oh, they put many of these Arabic manuscripts. And by the way, the local people can't even speak Arabic today. Even today, they have to learn it. In Saudi Arabia, I'm talking about. Yes, in Egypt and everywhere else. So now let's go. Columbia University. Yes, 600 codices of manuscripts. Yes, 600 codexes of manuscripts. Yes, of Arabic manuscript. What the hell do you think is going on here? Yes. Can you see? But let's go to this Columbia University codexes and the things. Let's have a look what they've got. They've got many of these books by Shahnameh, the Book of Kings. Yes, Firdausi. Yes, Hamza, Nizami, and all these other things. 15th century Islamic poets. Oh, by the way, many of these things we can't even find them in the Middle East. Yeah, these so-called Persia or Prussian manuscripts. Prussia was Persia. Yes, these Persian manuscripts, Farsi, it's actually Germanic. They're actually American. It's the European American civilization. Yes. So now let's keep going. Yes. And you're right. Yeah, you can call it Moorish. I don't want to get into a debate. And the thing, it's like you can call it, like, for example, Russian. You can call it Slavic. Now in Russia, we have the same problem in Eastern Europe, throughout Eastern Europe. Same problem. Arabic writing, Arabic on the swords, Arabic on the manuscripts, Arabic this and that. It just doesn't make sense that we can see that there was a global Arabic civilization in the language of the Arabic Quran. It's not just an ordinary language. So now let's go through Freer and Sackler galleries. Let me just go to what is this, because yes, Freer Sackler Museum. Yes, it's what do you call it? Yes, where is this located? Yeah, Freer Sackler and Arthur, the Smithsonian National Museum of Asian Art. It's in Washington D.C. Now they're going to say we brought this back from the Middle East. Oh yeah, they've brought back, thousands of manuscripts mysteriously from the Middle East, but we can't seem to find these originals or anything anywhere in the Middle East. We can't seem to find them, guys. I can't find many of these manuscripts. I've looked. I'm going to keep looking for another 1,000 years and something, but we've got 1,200 manuscripts. Yes, and everything, and they're going to say it's from the 500 years old, 1,000 years old, some of the best in the world, and they're going to say it came from Iran, it came from Turkey, it came from Syria. But when we look at these places, like we went through, Imam Ali video, it's in one of your videos. It shows many of these places aren't there. And in my book, Jerusalem is in Europe. It shows that Jerusalem, the one they're alleging, is not even there. The Muslims even call it Quds. Yeah, and they don't call it Jerusalem. Like, for example, let's go to Palestinian universities, one of their major universities. Let's see what these Arabs say themselves. Of course, nobody wants to listen to them, and the New York Times is not going to accept what they say. Yes, but what do you call it? Let's see what they themselves say. Um, let's go through what they themselves say, and let me just go through. Yeah, we can open up, Palestinian blogs, newspapers, and the Palestinians themselves. They themselves will say that that city is called Quds. It's not called Jerusalem. They say it. Yes, of course, they will know what their grandparents taught them. Yes, and great grandparents, because they've been having battles. Here, I've sent you another page, first paragraph. It says, my parents are from Arab Palestinian city of Al Quds, not Jerusalem. Yes. Now let's go to, um, for example, let's see what they will say over there. There's many things they've written, many books and everything, because they want the world to know what they have to say. And of course, the New York Times denies it and says, "Hey, they're lying." But let's have a look what these Palestinians have to say. Yes, Dar al Kalima University, yes, is one of their major universities run by the Palestinian Ministry of Education. So now you can go to, yes. So let's see more about this university. Yes, it's a real university. That's their webpage, Dar Al Kalima University. It's one of their major universities to learn master's degrees and things like this. And so now, when you go on their website, this is a Palestinian government university, and their official website. You can go there, and they say Quds is not Jerusalem. They're saying this also, not just Professor Anatoly Fomenko, not just me. Yeah, because I've been there myself. I interviewed many people, maybe even 100 people I've interviewed just in Jerusalem. I spoke to many people. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, and the thing is, the story they told me, not even one person said to me that, what do you call it? This is Jerusalem. They used to say to me, this is not Jerusalem, this is Quds. And they said, hey, what do you call it? The European colonial people came, they came with guns and everything. So anyway, let's get back to America. So the thing is, 1,200 manuscripts. What the hell are 1,200 Arabic manuscripts doing there? Yes, in America. Now let's go to across the border, across the Canadian border, and let's go to Toronto. Yes, what do we find here now? In Toronto, yes, we found roughly 1,200 manuscripts here in the university, and then our holdings include 800 bound manuscript volumes. Manuscript volumes, 800 volumes. That's so many, I don't even know. And what do you call it? Yes, includes, but includes, what do you call it? Including history, theology, and medicine in languages as diverse as, let's see what they have. Arabic is the first, then English, yeah, or maybe that's in our alphabetical order. English and French and German, Hebrew, Latin, and Persian. Yes, the main ones. Now, the Arabic, Hebrew, and the Persian are all using the same language with the same words. Now, the Latin came after. People will have to go through my books to understand this. And English, as only a language 200 years old, so is German. So now many of these Arabic manuscripts are from the Renaissance and older. What the hell are they doing there? I'm not sure about the exact number that's Arabic in there, but let's move on. Now let's go across the other side of the border to the Chicago side, the University of Michigan. Yes. So now we're going across the lake. If anybody's not been there, but just go across the lake and you'll see, what do you call it? 1,800 texts. They've got 1,000 volumes of Arabic manuscripts. What's going on here? In the University of Michigan, codices and rolls, and they've even got many small, maybe thousands of single pages of leaves going back 1,000 years and carrying 1,800 titles in Arabic, Persian, and Ottoman Turkish is Arabic. Yes, and the Persian is Arabic. It's not modern Persian. Yeah, you'll have to read my books to understand this. Let's go to Harvard now. Harvard. Wow, this is an amazing place. Harvard. What do we find there? 1,200 volumes. Do you know what a volume is? Like the Britannia Encyclopedia volume, guys. I want you to imagine volumes of Islamic manuscripts representing 2,000 works is in Harvard. What's going on here, guys? We can't find so many in Wujda city in Morocco. I don't think I'll find any manuscripts there. I've been there myself. If they're there, they're fake and bogus. Or in Taza city in Morocco, or in Taurit. Yes, I don't think I'm going to find so many manuscripts in Tanta in Egypt. I've been there. Or in Ismailia. I don't think I'll find that many manuscripts in Beitul Laham or Bethlehem in Palestine. What the hell are all, or in Akko or Acre? Yes, in Israel. Yes, and that's another Arabic city. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the conflict now today. Many Israelis live there. Yes, I hope everybody gets on together. We're not going to find all these things there. What the hell's going on? 1,200 volumes, volumes of manuscripts in Harvard. Okay, let's keep going. That's not enough. Some people are going to say, it's not enough, David. Okay, Northwestern University has got 3,000 manuscripts, and they're going to say from Africa, Arabic manuscripts, from West Africa, 5,000 items, handwritten. Yeah, most are in Arabic, some are in Persian or Turkish, but it's not Turkish. They're using Arabic. Arabic Turkish was 80%, like American English is 80% like English English. There's like a 10-20% difference. So it's actually the same language. What do you think is going on here? Can you see how many manuscripts?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's too many. We're talking 3,000 manuscripts, 5,000 manuscripts they're saying are from Africa. But we checked the history of Africa. They can't even find these manuscripts themselves. But they found them in Africa. Wait a minute. They couldn't even open any libraries there. They call them bread and butter libraries that we can't even find these manuscripts in Africa. What do you think is going on here? This shows that these manuscripts were already here. They were already in America. That was the original American civilization. Same like many Europeans didn't migrate there. They were already in America. Okay, now let's go to the Library of Congress. Yes, the Library of Congress in the United States has got 2,000 plus manuscripts from the 9th century, 10th century, 11th century, 13th century, and everything. 2,000 plus. We don't even know how many. They've got many hidden away. Yes, and the thing is, what do you think it's doing there in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, they must have collected them from America, not from the Middle East. It's just a scam. They're lying. Yes, now in
One
Los
thing I'm
Angeles.
wondering about, because you mentioned that in Egypt and other places they gave out the official Quran versions, shouldn't it be maybe possible, if any of these manuscripts are quote unquote real, to reconstruct something that may be akin to the more original version of the Quran?
Yes, yes, that's why the Muslims memorized it, the original. I'm going to go through that in a minute of the Muslim hadith and the history. It's because these hadith and the history, the manuscripts are in Europe and America. They're not in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're beginning to see. And the thing is, many of these manuscripts, it must have been from the students in those American cities from the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, because the Inquisition was burning the originals in America at that time. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that
So it's
Arabic.
so it's also even possible that most of these manuscripts are already the rewritten versions, or the, let's say,
Yes, and
redacted versions after the
if you're
Inquisition.
going
Yeah.
to rewrite millions of pages, it means that the people spoke and knew this Quranic Arabic in America at that time. And all these immigrants who were coming from Europe in the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, they all knew this language because they were learning it, studying it. It was popular. It was the global language. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, then history makes sense. Then it comes down to this Quran book must be more important than we can imagine because it's not in the modern classical fake Arabic language that we're seeing in the Middle East. It's actually in Europe and America, and it's in the language of the Quran. Well, let's move forward. So now Princeton. What does Princeton have, Raphael? Have a look through it.
Oh, 10,000. Mm-hmm.
Volumes, not a manuscript. Let's show what let's just show people what a volume looks like. The term volume is what do you call it? A single book that is part of a collection. And we're talking millions and millions of pages. We're talking Britannia Encyclopedia, volume 1956 edition, 1957 volume. So the thing is, we have got a genuine problem here. We've got entire mega libraries in the United States and volumes of books of Arabic, and it doesn't make sense and nobody's talking about it. So I spoke about the coins before. Now I'm speaking about these things. More information is in my books, and I'll have more books too. So the thing is, there are people who are trying to challenge me on something, and they're saying just the coins and something. We're talking the entire civilization of Europe and America. This is throughout Europe. Throughout Europe, you'll find it throughout all the cities and the libraries throughout Europe. And you're not going to find it in Iran. These books they're going to say is from Iran, but we can't find them there. And then the old photographs of everything shows that half these cities or something were like dumps. So now what we've got is 10,000 volumes or 13,000 volumes of all these Arabic books there. And we're not going to find 13,000 volumes in Baghdad or in Damascus. You see? So, and then the thing is, they're going to say, we picked them up from the Middle East. Liar, liar, they're lying. You understand? And let's just go through Europe. Like, they can't explain this, but everybody knows the potato famines. They destroyed Ireland. The British invaded in the 17th century. In the 17th century, all we've got is thousands of pages of Arabic books in the Irish in Ireland. That's what we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And do you know what they tell you? They were just collected. Oh, the Irish, yes, were invaded by the British after the 17th century, and they're just killing people, starving people out, enslaving people. Yes, everybody knows this in Irish history. So I am not pushing an Arabic agenda here. There's something here that they're hiding the history. I'm going to go through the history of the Welsh language and the English language next time. So before we finish it off, the thing is, nobody can answer this question. Why are there millions of pages of all these manuscripts throughout Europe and America? And nobody can answer it. The Muslims are giving a bogus thinking. Why? How? And for what reason did so many manuscripts and printed books? And they're saying it, the Muslims will say it came from the Muslim countries. Rubbish. I've not even been through many libraries and museums and collections. I've only been through about 20, I think, or maybe 10 or 15
Mm.
or 30. But even that is like millions of pages. It's too much. Who wrote them? When did they write them? How many students were there? It's like an entire civilization. We're talking about millions of pages in thousands and thousands of volumes, thousands of manuscripts. This is just an entire civilization. And they're trying to tell us that, hey, we just went to the deserts, we picked it up from there. Bullstein. Any questions, Raphael?
Not right now. Thank you so much for clarifying some of that. I'm sure
Yes.
it was fascinating to everyone listening. And as
Has it
always,
shocked you, by the way, or not?
well, as I said, you always ask me this question. I knew, let's say, superficially, I was aware of some of these topics, but it's great that you showed it in more in depth and gave some, very simple evidence because really with these online searches, I'm just gonna do that for Austria now. I'm not expecting much, but everyone can look up in their local, digital libraries online, national or whatever, and just
Yeah,
see what kind of Arabic things they have and then
yeah.
consider for themselves if they are really old or recently written or just what exactly is going on there. Yeah.
Well, they burnt the originals. They were burning people, the skulls and bones. Read my books and everything. You'll see that Europe was invaded. They replaced many of the books. Yes, so many of these manuscripts, of course, will show the world was backwards and everything. And there's millions of pages of them because in Europe and America, people could read and write Arabic. It was the global language, not the Arabic. The people who come from Morocco today They can't speak this Arabic. They learn it in school. But many of the meanings have been changed by fake dictionaries. The Syrians, if you know many of these Arabs, then the thing is, it's not their native language. It was the European language, European,
Mm-hmm.
Europa, Arabia. This was the language of Europe. And if you're European or American native or even an immigrant or whatever, yes, they destroyed your original civilization. They replaced it. I've not invented this history. They couldn't replace everything. Many things are still there, and they've put a fake, bogus history to it. Yeah, they burnt your ancestors alive. If you're from Australia, your ancestors came from Europe. They killed your ancestors. They invaded these lands. They took you over to these places, many of these places. And if you're German, they did crusades every year until they totally took over your lands. And these Persian manuscripts are Persian. Yes, Persian. And they're going to lie to you and say, oh, no, don't you know? This is Persian. That came from the other side of the world. It's not yours. But then when you go to the other side of the world and say, hey, they got millions of pages there. Oh, we don't know. Ah, your ancestors wrote it, by the way. You're Iranian. It came from your land. We don't know. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't you have copies of these things or anything? No. Didn't you print any of these things? No, you were printing them in Prussia on
Yeah.
your printing machine because it was your book. That's why these Arabic words are found in Old Germanic, in Old English, in the old languages of Europe. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
That's why people were studying it. Yes, and then they eventually they created fake Latin, then the Latin languages like French and everything. Then they invented the Germanic languages like German and English and Dutch, and they still have many of these Arabic Quranic words there. Yes, and they couldn't hide it. So what? The information is still here, but many people don't join the dots together. Anyway, let's leave it at that, Raphael.
Thank you for laying it out. Thank you for making it
Yeah,
all clear and explaining it, David. And yeah, looking forward to the next time. Thank you so
yeah.
much
Okay.
for your
Have a
time here.
nice day.